Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys Star Wars figure unboxing and review video. Now today we are taking a look at the Artillery Stormtrooper from Mandalorian Season 2. Now, y'all know me, I'm a massive Trooper fan, so when Hot Toys announced they were doing this, yeah, I was suitably excited. Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is, of course, in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and an awesome reward system. What we are going to do now, though, is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here, of course, we have the box art, and it's done in the usual Star Wars style. An image of the figure himself, right up here front and center, another on the wraparound banner down below, plus one more on the side. We also have all of the relevant legal information printed on the back. On the inside, however, we have an absolutely gorgeous image of the Artillery Stormtrooper mid-battle, and then underneath that, the figure himself. Now, when we first saw the set pics of this guy, a lot of people were joking that, oh great, now we have the Ketchup Stormtrooper from Season 1 being the Incinerator Trooper, and then the Mustard version from Season 2. I am curious to see what the two condiment-based Stormtroopers look like side by side, and of course we'll do that a little bit later in the video. First, in-hand impressions are pretty darn positive. I'm already loving the look of the yellow and the various little scuffs and scratches dotted around the armor. Now, of course, he does come with one tray, so what we are going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Here we have all the parts and pieces. Now, starting off with the display base first, it is the typical rectangular style base. Star Wars Artillery Stormtrooper is etched into a gorgeous metal nameplate, then of course a regular crotch grabber up on top. But the most interesting part is, Hot Toys, you've done well. You've not given us that awful sand footprint base topper. This time they've just printed an image onto a flat surface. It looks arguably just as good, if not a little bit better, and it's way more versatile. Plus, you can remove it entirely and opt for the Death Star style flooring, so you do have two options with the display base. Please, Hot Toys, keep doing this. You also get his thermal detonator backpack. You've got 3 detonators up top with a 4th that comes separately, and it magnetically attaches on the inside to complete the top row. Now, on the side, you do have 2 clip sections that you can take the other style of detonator and install into. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do because the compartment is very tight, but if you take your time and work it in there, it'll look just fine. You also have this yellow canister section, which I can't help but think looks like a mustard bottle. I know it's not what it is, but because people have been calling this guy the Mustard Trooper for so long, it's all I can see there. You also have some detail sections down below, and then some chipping and weathering around the edges. Now, you do get 2 of the thermal detonators, and you can separate them to show that they have been activated. Unfortunately, there's no red stripe in the middle. When we got these previously with the Rogue One troopers, they did have that red stripe, and I would have preferred if, they'd added that on there. Now, he only comes with one weapon, and it's his mortar. It is detailed very nicely. There's silver dry brushing, there's dirt collected in the crevices, and it does have a few moving parts. The base can move forward and back. The top bipod section is actually spring-loaded, as you can see, and then the feet can be actuated down, so if you do want to place this flat in your display, you can totally do that. The other cool thing is, in the top, it is simply an open hole, so if you do want to take one of the detonators and slide it in there, you can do that as well. I don't know if I'm going to be doing that in my display because it simply slides all the way down, never to be seen again, but this thing is awesome. Unfortunately, he doesn't come with any other weapons. No E22, no E11. I would have loved to have seen that, because he actually comes with trigger hands with nothing to hold. You do, however, have the yellow markings on the armor plate on the back of the hand, and some textured detail on the inside of the palm. What we are going to do now, though, is get the artillery stormtrooper himself out here and take a closer look. Here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that, and yeah, it does exactly what it needs to. It's the yellow artillery variant of a stormtrooper, and y'all know I love my troopers. This guy is striking. I didn't expect to like the yellow anywhere near as much as I do. I am struggling at this very moment to pick my favourite between the red and yellow variants. We will discuss that a little bit closer to the end of the video when we do the comparisons. But for now, yeah, I'm really happy with how this guy turned out. What we are going to do now, though, is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. Here we have him up close and personal. Now, we won't be spending a ton of time here because technically we've seen this mold a bunch of times before. It's the same tried and true Rogue One Stormtrooper design that we're already familiar with. But I'm perfectly fine with that. That is, of course, my favourite Hot Toys Stormtrooper mold of all time. Now, starting off with the helmet, it looks great. The yellow markings aren't just a simple line down the front. There's chipping, there's wear and tear, and there's dirt and grime around the rest of the helmet. He also has some very vibrant green bubble eye lenses. Unfortunately, on camera, they look a little bit more dim, but trust me, in person, they do stand out. Now, he does have a yellow pauldron, which, of course, matches the rest of his markings. I like the way it looks, but it is made of pleather. Some people have reported that their pauldrons on the previous Stormtrooper variants that do in fact have pauldrons have flaked over time. I was hoping that at some point Hot Toys would convert their Stormtroopers to that rubbery style plastic like they used with Captain Rex, but they haven't done that yet. We'll have to wait and see if they do make that change. Now, around the back, we have a magnetic detonator backpack of sorts. You've got these standard detonators up top, and this one can magnetize to his belt, then two more thermal detonators on the side that can remove. You saw these a little bit earlier in the video. The backpack itself is relatively compact, and I like that. That means he's not going to take up a ton of depth in the display, and being magnetic, it very simply pops on there. As for the rest of the armor, it is a crisp, glossy white, with some weathering here and there on some high traffic areas, and then the yellow markings are scratched and weathered throughout. For some reason though, the yellow paint applications on the hands are a little bit warmer than the rest of the armor. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be that way, it's just something that I noticed. Now, coming down to the legs, I really like this little yellow section on the front. It breaks up the overall crisp, glossy white look, and I'm hoping that with future Stormtrooper variants, they keep that going. I would love to see a blue version with that blue little knee panel as well. You have a ton more dirt and grime down near the boots, as you would expect, and then the same thing can be said for the boots themselves. Plus, on the underside, you have some sculpted in tread, and just a very subtle level of dirt. But so far, yeah, I'm really loving this trooper. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have mustard and ketchup finally united, the condiment stormtroopers, aka, of course, the artillery and incinerator stormtrooper. They look great standing together. I will absolutely be having them posed up side by side in the display because the contrast between the yellow and the red, it works really well. Now, the underlying Stormtrooper armor is identical. It's just the color scheme as well as the accessories that are different. But yeah, I love the way both of these Stormtroopers look. If I had to pick my favourite, it would still be the red one. Red is up there among some of my favourite colours, so that's why it has to go to him. But the new guy, the yellow artillery Stormtrooper, is still no slouch. Just going over articulation. Now bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I've also taken the liberty of removing the backpack because while we're doing this it would have fallen off a bunch of times. I'm sure when you get yours in hand you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now starting off with the helmet, it's on one ball joint at the base of the head and another at the base of the neck. You get it looking forward to there, so unfortunately not a whole bunch. It does go back a little bit further though. Swivel, then pivot side to side. The arms will go up to there. They will of course go forward and back. Butterfly joint at the shoulder. Swivel at the bicep, a soft ratcheted double bend at the elbow that will go slightly past 90, and then a regular 1/6 scale wrist peg. As for the torso, because it is multiple pieces of armor colliding with one another, you don't get a ton of range crunching forward and back, swivel or pivot side to side. The legs will go forward pretty much the full way, which is rather surprising. They will go out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, a ratcheted double bend at the knee that once again goes a little bit past 90, and then a ball joint down here for the ankle. Just going over the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing is you only get 1 spare detonator. That means you have to choose between having it down here on his belt or having it up here on his backpack. And when you don't have it down below, you have this little foam block, it kind of looks incomplete. So I would have loved for Hot Toys to have given us at least 1 more. The second annoying thing also has to do with the backpack. Unfortunately, these 3 detonators are one fixed piece. They can't actually be removed and placed inside the mortar. This guy's entire job is to take these things off his backpack, shove it in his mortar, and fire it off at the enemies. And you only get 1. I would have loved if all of these little detonator pieces could have been removed from the backpack. The third annoying thing is that this is the only weapon you get with this Stormtrooper. I literally just praised them recently when I reviewed the Stormtrooper squad leader and he had an E11 and an E22, even though he only used the E22 in the episode. This guy should have absolutely, at the very least, come with an E11 or a sidearm pistol, because as it stands, all you can really display him with is this mortar. The first cool thing is this display base. It's super simple and it's what I've been asking for the longest time. Do away with the stupid sand footprint display bases and just print the sand on a flat surface. And also, that means you can have it as a separate removable plate, and then you can have the Death Star style flooring underneath. And they've even detailed that with a ton of chipping, which they didn't need to do. I'm super glad that it appears at least that Hot Toys are going away from the sand footprint display bases. The second cool thing is that I think Hot Toys have made the legs a little bit less padded, because they go up quite a significant way compared to some of my other Rogue One troopers. That means if you want to have him bending down and actually using the mortar, you should be able to get that done, where previously I found bending the legs upwards rather difficult. The third cool thing is that the backpack very simply attaches via magnets. Now, if you don't like that attachment method, I will also understand that, because when it comes to posing, this will fall off a whole bunch. But to save having a permanently attached backpack or a bunch of clips here and there, I think magnets are totally the best way of getting this done. Just wrapping up on the Hot Toys Artillery Stormtrooper. Now, going into this, we kind of already knew what to expect. It's the Incinerator Trooper with a different weapon, different backpack, and a yellow color scheme. But oh boy, does this guy work for me. I didn't know if the yellow was going to cut the mustard. I'm so sorry, I had to do it, but it definitely does. It works. It's a nice, vibrant color to pop into the display. It'll breathe some life into it. because the Imperial Stormtroopers are pretty much just a pristine white. The red looks great, the yellow works perfectly with it, and I am hoping to see a bunch more variants as time goes on. Now, you don't get a ton of weapons, which is my biggest issue. I would have loved to have seen a sidearm, or an E11, or an E22, but you get none of that. You do get the Mortar, which, in my opinion, is the bare minimum. It gets the job done without much fuss, and that's totally fine, but I was expecting them to go above and beyond, just like they did for the Stormtrooper squad leader. But either way, I still recommend him. He is an awesome Stormtrooper variant. Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is, of course, down in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and an awesome reward system. While you are down there, check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video. Striking